Today we continue with our series of videos about sex education, and today's topic is the topic that everybody knows about, but somehow it is still a topic about which our reaction is like masturbation. A topic that everybody knows about, generally from personal experience, but not always. More about it, what is it, what are statistics, is it good or bad for your health, more about it in a moment. But obviously before we begin, I have to tell you that this is a Yury Experience, and here I share my various experiences about different topics. I do 2 videos per week, Mondays and Thursdays. If you will enjoy this video, then please drop a like. You can also subscribe to the channel. Let's go! This is an official definition. In my own words, masturbation is applying of pressure or touching some of your parts, your body parts that are your erogenous zones or whatever they are, in order to acquire some pleasure and with a target of getting to an orgasm. At the end of the day, masturbation is like kinda sex with yourself, sex only with one person. I don't know how to call it better, and it is very safe sex. In comparison to sex between 2 people, this version is very safe. There's literally almost no possibility to get some STDs. Speaking of erogenous zones, or however this word is pronounced, we have a lot of them all over our body. Mainly, if we are talking about masturbation, we are talking about our intimate parts, vagina, or actually not vagina, but vulva for women or for female bodies, and penis mainly for male bodies. And although these parts have played the main role in current performance, they are not the only ones. There are also different ways to increase pleasure during masturbation. For example, touching your anal sphincter, or like the whole anal penetration. Also touching all over your body, depending what do you like. For example, a lot of people with female bodies do like to touch their breasts during masturbation. Interestingly, and that is something that every freaking man thought about at least once in their life, is the fact that yes, you can self-pleasure yourself with the mouth. Yes, it is possible. It is not very probable. It is very not probable. Actually, there is under 1% of men who can do it, and for women it is almost impossible. But it is overall not completely impossible, and yes, based on my knowledge, a lot of men thought about it. Am I? Masturbation is a completely normal process. More than 85% of men and more than 65% of women acknowledge the fact that they do masturbate regularly. What does regularly means? It is different for people with male and female bodies. Normally, men masturbate more. They masturbate approximately 7 to 8 times on average per week. Whereas women masturbate less, they masturbate around 1 to 2 times per 2 weeks. Obviously, these are average numbers and they don't depict the whole picture. But overall, pretty much every man that you saw in your life masturbated at least once, and probably masturbated during the last week. And probably a hell lot of, more than half of women that you see in your life masturbated during like some time ago, maybe a couple of weeks ago. Maybe not weeks, maybe days, maybe hours. You don't know. Obviously, this whole self-pleasure thing starts with puberty, but it doesn't mean that there are no human beings that did it prior to that moment. There were observed different cases where children also did some self-pleasure. Even infants. There was observation of children under 1 year old who masturbated, both sexes actually. Yes, it is not very probable, and it is normally not really physical touch, it's more rubbing against some other surface, but still, even freaking children masturbate, which is surprising, but still not wrong, it is normal. But overall, yes, it starts at puberty and goes basically indefinite. Even people who are like in older age, over 65, do masturbate, although not all of them. The rate of them is kinda lower than in like under that age, under 65. The rate there is under 30%, and it doesn't matter whether we are talking about men or women. But what is interesting, normally, generally, for men it is normal to be more masturbatingly active during your young age, and then it declines over time. Whereas for women it is completely opposite. Yes, women start with less usually, except for puberty time, but afterwards they start with less and go more and more until some age, again up 60, starting from 65, everything goes down. Another reason to think that masturbation is completely normal: animals do it too. A lot of different animals do it, being it masturbation with your hands, with your paws, with different other parts of your body, and it also doesn't matter whether this animal is in captivity or in the wilderness. There was even observation of animals who created some sex toys for their own pleasure. So at the end of the day, we are not the only ones who masturbate. Yes, for a big part, animals do participate in different sexual activities for a target of acquiring children or some children of some sort, but they still do some masturbation too. And masturbation isn't something that normally leads to children. And yes, normally you don't impregnate other beings during masturbation. Yes, it is possible technically, but the probability of that is very low, even if you somehow manage to put your semen inside of another person's vagina, another woman's vagina. Yeah, it is kinda very low probability stuff. So, how people do it? And it is a strange part of the video, but I still have to do it because otherwise the topic will not be complete. And yes, obviously people with male and female bodies do it differently because our intimate parts are different. And we start with male bodies. It is something that I'm more knowledgeable about due to some circumstances. And there we have basically two options, or like two types of people who are circumcised and people who are not circumcised. For people who don't know what I'm talking about, there is an outer layer of skin on a penis which you can kinda cut off. There are no big benefits or downsides to it, but in some religions it is normal to do it. And also sometimes you can do it due to some medical reasons, but on average you don't really have to, but you can cut away this outer skin. And basically person with outer skin rubs this outer skin around penis up and down, or like away and to it. Sometimes depending on the person can prefer touching it on different parts and maybe even touching the balls. Circumcised people normally do touching not with outer skin but with their own hand, and yes, they're touching up, down, circular motions, or like this kind of motion, and also touching different part of the penis, including balls. But here it is more often recommended to use some kind of lubricant in order to avoid some damage to the penis. The whole hand can be used, some fingers can be used, or maybe making some kind of a circle, some kind of a ring, but basically as long as you are touching the penis, you are kind of doing it good, or you're in a good way. In case of a female body, we are working with a vulva, and no, I didn't cut an orange in order to depict vulva, because I didn't want to cut that orange. But the point is, most of women apply pressure in this case to the clitoris. Clitoris is on the top. If you want to know more about the position of clitoris, watch my video about female body. In some rubbing, circular motions, but some of them also put fingers inside during the process, and there is a little amount of women who don't do clitoral pressure at all, and they just do vaginal penetration. And during vaginal penetration they're looking for a G-spot. Normally, not always, but also G-spot is very important for pleasure. As I already mentioned, except for touching genitalia, so this part of your body, you can also touch pretty much everything with fingers, but please be clean, especially if you are working with your anal sphincter. clean fingers, and what touch your ass shall not touch your penis or vagina, especially like vagina from inside. Positions also vary. Some people like to lay down for that, some other people prefer to stand, other people can sit down, other people can kneel down. So there are very many opportunities or positions to masturbate. In addition to normal penetration with like fingers and palms, you also can rub yourself against some other surfaces. Both men and women do it, and also we have a hell lot of sex toys that can make your life a way more pleasurable existence. Independent of it, I want to touch on the topic of masturbating in presence of other people and also masturbating with help of other people. And obviously you can masturbate and your partner can masturbate like one next to each other, or your partner can help you masturbate, or this masturbation part or like this rubbing part can be used as a foreplay. But what I want to suggest to you is to talk during the process. I've heard way more often that men have no idea how to pleasure a woman and women have no idea how to pleasure men. Some of women like apply way too much pressure, rub too hard, or maybe pull too hard. Some men don't know where clitoris is, where G-spot is, how much pressure you shall apply, and you shall not apply too much pressure, it can hurt. So a lot of experts suggest to use masturbation, also like mutual masturbation, as a way of learning each other and learning each other's preferences. Also understanding what are each other's erogenous zones. So tell maybe your partner, touch me there, it will make my feelings during the process better. So please use it as an opportunity to update your sex life, to update your relationship with your partner. Talk about it. Not only just relying on the fact that this person shall know, and by the way, this example also works for homosexual couples. Don't rely on the fact that the person knows. Maybe that person doesn't know. Maybe that person doesn't know your anatomy. So please talk. Now, after this uncomfortable part, because talking about masturbation is never comfortable, we are coming to the part which explains kinda why is it uncomfortable to talk about masturbation. But we start with the more kind part, if we can call it like that, and we start with health. In opposition to a lot of opinions and knowledge that I heard throughout my life, there are no downsides to masturbation. As long as you don't overdo it, as long as masturbating doesn't damage your life, doesn't damage your social life, as long as you don't rub yourself too much, and as long as your fingers are clean during the process, masturbation doesn't have any health downside. By the way, if masturbation started hurting your life, started hurting your social life, started being a very important part of your life, you shall go to the specialist. It is most commonly some psychological problem, maybe people who don't have a lot of attention in their life, or maybe people who had very little attention during their childhood. So please go to the specialist. But what are benefits? It is great stress relief. It is great way of relaxation. It was observed to help with prostate problems. Obviously there's no causation relationship, but there is an association relationship, which is already good. Also, this masturbation after coitus, after sex, with semen coming in a woman's body, if a woman gets an orgasm during the process, like soon after, then the probability of that person of being pregnant goes higher. So basically, if you are trying for a child, then after sex, during which semen came to a woman's body and transported inside of there, you know what I'm talking about. After that, make sure that your partner has had an orgasm, or you make sure that you have an orgasm. And if it helps, do it with help of masturbation. You don't have to have both parties involved. You can work alone. And one more example for men, it is good in terms of creating new sperm. So basically you empty your bottles, if you want to call it like that, and new sperm is produced. The sperm is more energetic, if you want to call it like that. It is more active, and again the probability of successful impregnation is higher. And now we will talk about society. I mean, you could expect that this part of the topic will come too. And as you probably know, masturbation, as pretty much everything that has to do with sex, is a taboo topic. During some time throughout our history it was more normal to masturbate, then it was less normal, then you could die for masturbation. So yes, there were laws thanks to which you would get a death penalty if somebody would find out that you masturbate. Nowadays, although there are still some countries where the conversations or participation in masturbation is a taboo and is completely prohibited, in most other countries it becomes more and more open topic. Obviously there are still countries or maybe parts of the countries where, for example, buying sex toys is not allowed. Buying lubricant will raise a lot of questions, and maybe way too many questions. But since medical field said, you know what, there's actually no downsides to masturbation, society has to deal with this accusation. So there were times where medicine also told you something like masturbation is bad, masturbation can kill you. Crazy times. But since medicine is now on the side of masturbation, society has to deal with the word or with the topic of masturbation differently. There is a lot of pressure in religious circles, but you know, religious circles also have a lot of conservative ideas, which is why it is no wonder that a lot of religions, not all of them, but a lot of religions have something against masturbation. But even during my childhood, it was a crazy topic. So masturbation was a crazy topic. There was this crazy assumption, and the more I think about it, the more funny it sounds, but I was young and dumb. There was this assumption that if you masturbate, then hair will grow on your palms. And it doesn't make sense. But it still was a topic. It was still a joke that we had between us, and after that joke everybody was like, I personally hope that this topic will become more and more normal over time, especially including the fact that it can help with a lot of problems, with some of the psychological problems even. But to be honest, relieving stress is a good reason alone to masturbate. Obviously not a solution, but one of the tools to help you with dealing with stress. And also I hope that it helps with the conversation of sex and women, because nowadays most of the people do understand that male people masturbate, but with women it is somehow still a completely different topic. I personally think it is also the reason why the statistics for women are lower or way lower than for men. If you ask me personally, I think most of women are not ready to tell that they masturbate. Not that they don't masturbate actually. So yes, a lot of different countries, societies, places work on their education of people in terms of masturbation, but it is by far not enough. There are still way too many conservative old school people who think that masturbation will lead to growth of hair on your arms, hands I mean. But yes, it is something that we shall work against over time. It is nothing that you can just solve today. And in the end, I will tell you that masturbating in a public place is prohibited by law in most of the countries. If you want to masturbate, go for a private place. Please don't be a jerk. Please respect other people's boundaries. If you want to masturbate, it is a good thing. You can do it. It's no problem. But please do it at your private location. Don't use other people's I don't know, fears maybe, or other people's bad attention in order to like jerk off. So yeah, be a nice person. That's pretty much it. I hope you enjoyed the video. If it is the case, please drop a like. You can also subscribe to the channel. You can also leave a comment about this interesting topic. But except for that, I see you on Monday. Have a great weekend. Bye.